welcome to my next episode. Today I'm going to be tackling the entirety of the Halloween franchise. I did a Halloween marathon on Saturday. As soon as I woke up till I went to bed, and then a couple Sunday morning to finish it off. And then I have a couple other items to do as well for this episode. And I'm going to kick it right off because this is a pretty big stack here, and it might take me quite a bit, especially with these movies. So obviously the first one here on 4K. This is John Carpenter's masterpiece here. Kicked off the massive 80s spew of slasher films. A lot of people say it was Friday the 13th that started that, but I actually think it's Halloween, because you actually get quite a few slashers in 1979 as well, right after this. But yeah, what can you say? I already had this 4K, so I didn't buy the Scream Factory edition because I already had it. It comes with the Blu-ray and the 4K. And I'm guessing the Scream Factory 4K doesn't look that much better than this one, if better at all. It's probably just an actual, straight up cut of it. But yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis shows up on the horror scene, I believe for the first time, and turns into a early 80s horror movie scream queen. Takes quite a few years off, probably 20 years off, before she comes back to horror after the early 80s. But yeah, what can you say about Halloween? Frickin' score, maybe the most legendary score in horror movie history. It might even be one of the most legendary scores in all of movie history, to be honest. Simplistic but amazing. And then even the storyline, simplistic but amazing. It's so simple of a concept, but yet performed to perfection. I know a lot of people find this first one a little too slow, and I do agree, it is slow and not a lot happens, but the atmosphere that they build up throughout the original Halloween is just it's almost unmatched, to be honest, unrivaled. Just the feel of it. So many basic things, but just filmed so perfectly that it made it one of the all-time greatest horror movies. I don't think it can be argued. It deserves to be at the top of most horror lists. And even just the title, Halloween, how iconic the pumpkin cover. But yeah, love everything about Halloween. I have seen it so many times, I couldn't even tell you. It's in the probably dozens, to be honest. It's kind of nuts. I've watched this 4K alone four times, just in the last year, probably. Halloween. Yeah, just crazy. Iconic. 5 out of 5 for the original one. And then we jump to Halloween 2. And this one I do have the Scream Factory 4K here with the hard box slip. A lot of people were complaining, I noticed, about the artwork on these slipcovers, but I actually like them a lot. I don't know, it just feels, I don't understand why people are saying it was so horrible and horrendous. I don't know. It's pretty nice to me, but yeah, this Scream Factory edition comes with the regular 4K, comes with the theatrical cut on Blu-ray, comes with the television cut on DVD. So 3 discs, 3 different formats. Something for everybody there. And this is an awesome sequel, in my opinion. I know it's got mixed reviews as well, but like, how do you follow up that original, really, when you're thinking about it? What do you do? And I think Carpenter does what is necessary. He ups the amount of kills, he ups the amount of gore. He just ramps everything up a level. Steps up his game. And I would consider Halloween 2 amongst, like, the top sequels of all time. Like, it should be not like the tippy top, but it's up there. And I love the hospital setting. It just feels right. It's just crazy. I love the ending with when Loomis is turning on all the valves, and Jamie shot him in both of his eyes, so he can't see, so he can only hear, and he's walking around the room. I love when they blow up the room, and he comes walking out on fire. It's solid again. Like, this has to be considered amongst the greatest horror franchises of all time. Like, maybe even the greatest. Like, it's got to be considered, even though the timelines are all fucked up, the storylines are all fucked up and mixed, and everything else. But it's got to be up there. Halloween 2, definite. I would give it like a 4 to 4.5 for the second one. Like, it's pretty top notch. And then we come to the controversial Halloween 3. I have this on the Scream Factory hard book as well. And it's original art there, the cover. This comes with a Blu-ray and the 4K. What can I say about Halloween 3? A lot of people absolutely hate this movie. Think it's an abomination. I love it. I think Tom Atkins is awesome in it. I know there's no Michael Myers, but I mean, they tried something different, and as its own movie, like, if you took the Halloween name off, this would be a great 80s horror movie. But people just don't like that with the Halloween title, because they're going in expecting Michael Myers. But I think the storyline's awesome. Conspiracy and company trying to kill everybody, basically. I like the masks that just, like, make freaking snakes and bugs and everything come out of little kids' heads in the movie. It's got some top-notch gore. It's got a couple little twists in the third act. It's got good acting. It's got a great soundtrack again. It's got, like, it's hard to deny. Like, I think it's a great movie. Like, I would give this probably a 4 again out of 5. And definite watcher. I'm gonna move right into Halloween 4. Got the Scream Factory hard box of this beast as well. What's this come with? Just the 4K and the Blu-ray. The Return of Michael Myers. You know they had to throw that catch line on there just to get people to come back to the theater. And yet again, the art. Like, I actually like this art. I think it's good. It's cool how they have all the leaves blowing in the ground. Like, it looks Halloween-y. It's weird. And then it's also scenes from each film that make the film, like, the most memorable scenes. The little girl's face on his knife there. Like, it's cool stuff. Now, this movie takes a step downwards for me. Like, it's still good because you have Michael Myers killing people, so it's an easy concept. It's like it just works. Like, if you just want to see Michael Myers slasher movie, that's what you get with number 4. It also brings in a very young Danielle Harris, who makes her return, and a couple more that are coming up here. And it's hard. Like I said, this is one of my favorite franchises of all time, so I like these movies probably more than your average person would. This again, this one would be about a 3.5 for me, just because it does take a step down from the first three, in my opinion. It's not quite as good. It's where the storyline really becomes just whacked and hard to follow, really. It's just, you gotta kind of ignore a lot of the plot holes and stuff. But, awesome movie again. And then the sequel, The Revenge of Michael Myers, number 5 here. I have the Scream Factory hard box 4K of this one again. And this one probably just comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray again, yeah. I don't think these had reversible art. I've never actually checked. Oh, they do have reversible art. Jeez, I didn't even know that. So they come with their original art, which I always like to put the original on the case when it has a slipcover or a box. Because you already get the new stuff, right? On the actual thing. But yeah, Halloween 5. Return of Danielle Harris here. Her role's a bit smaller because she spends half the movie like in a bed, in a coma, yelling. She can't talk. It also kind of fucks with the storyline a bit because at the end of 4, they kind of play it off as if she might be the next Michael Myers kind of thing. And then they're just like, nah, we're not going that way. So they just change it up. But great kills again. Great atmosphere, obviously. All the Halloween movies have good atmospheres, in my opinion. And another must-see. This one I would probably give a 3 to. This one, it would take a little bit of a dip. This would be a 3 out of 5 for me. Which for me, like 3 out of 5s are still like, that means they're a good, solid movie to watch. It's hard. My ranking system's tough. It's hard to truly rank a movie unless you've seen it just endless amounts of times and you can break it right down. But yeah, first 5 Halloweens, like them all. Then we come to number 6, 7, and 8. And I have them on a triple pack here from Miramax. It's Halloween Resurrection, Halloween The Curse of Michael Myers, and Halloween H2O. The Curse of Michael Myers is number 6. This has Paul Rudd in one of his earliest roles. And this movie is probably the most hated in the entire Halloween franchise, I would guess. And upon rewatching it, this would be like the 3rd time I've seen it in my life. It grew on me this time. It actually, it rose up. Like, before, I thought it was just utter trash. Like, I hated it. I was just like, oh my god, it's so stupid. But I really paid some good attention to it on this watch, and I think all the acting's great. I think Paul Rudd's acting is really well, especially for his early stuff. I think the storyline's actually kind of cool. Like, I know it takes it in a silly direction with the whole like cult kind of created Michael Myers, and they whispered to him when he was young, and he's basically their hitman, sort of. Like, but it's fun. Like, they obviously were just out of ideas. They're like, where can we take this? So let's just go crazy and we'll throw this at. But some of the kills are really good. Some of the way how fast Michael Myers walks through some of these scenes after people is pretty creepy. Like, he's almost sprinting. It's fucking kind of ridiculous how fast he walks. I like the look of him in this movie. Like, he looks kind of creepy. But yeah, this one grew on me. I would probably give this like a 2.5. It's still not on par with the other ones in my opinion, but it's still good. Definitely watchable. I enjoyed it. It's also Donald Pleasant's final appearance in a film. They give him the send-off at the end. And then Halloween H2O, number 7. I think this is the debut of Josh Hartnett. I realize that this movie isn't that good now that I'm older and I've seen it a few times, but I used to love this movie when I was a kid. Used to watch it all the time on TV and rent it from like Jumbo Video, Blockbuster. And I I like all the acting. I think all the performances are great. I think some of the kills are really solid and creepy. I I love the part with Janet Leigh, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, where she shows up at the school and she gets out of the car and she walks over to Jamie Lee and they have an exchange about like motherly, daughterly. It's almost like passing on the torch, Scream Queen torch kind of thing. And then as she's walking away, you can hear the Psycho theme playing lightly and quietly. Like, it's really, I love that part, because Psycho being one of my favorite movies. That was really good. And yeah, the ending. This could have been the end of all the Halloween movies. But then they decided to come back with Resurrection, Halloween 8. And, to me, this is the worst one in the series. This one, I know the concept's cool, it's hidden camera footage, and it's still decent. Like, every single Halloween movie, I think, is good enough to be seen. Like, people need to see them all. That's one good thing, and it's hard to say with a franchise that has this many, 13 movies. Like that, it's hard to say that every single one is watchable. But I truly think this one is watchable. It drives me nuts when Busta Rhymes turns into Bruce Lee in the final act and does the whole yah and everything. Like, it's kind of takes you out a bit. But there's some good kills in this. It's got a cool little story where everybody's watching them on camera, and they're like trying to fake it and make it like a scary TV show, and Michael Myers is actually there whacking them all. It's fun. Yeah, what can I say? And then you come to Rob Zombie's Halloween. This is from like 2007, so this is quite a few years. They take a few years off here. And this one's really tough for me. This is the unrated and theatrical cut here. 2 discs. It also has the full making of it as well on here. But what can I say? Like, this one's so hard. There's a lot of things I like about it. I like just how brutal they get. The gore. Rob Zombie brings his, like, dirtiness to it. Feels like Halloween, the redneck edition. I think my biggest complaint is the beginning. Like, the first half hour of the movie is probably my biggest complaint of the whole thing. But I find the stuff they do with the kid, like when he's a kid, I don't want to see, like, Michael Myers. It's hard. Michael Myers is like iconic slasher, and when you give them horrendous backstories where you show just how sick they actually are, it now has taken the fun out of the kills, in my opinion. Because now you kind of want this person to die because they're a sick, twisted fuck. And before, it's like they're just kind of a fun slasher in a mask. Like, I don't know. And it's too long. Goes on for way too long. It's very, just prolonged in the first half. Once I get past that, I like the actor here, what's his name, that's playing, Malcolm McDowell, that's playing the new Loomis. I think he does an awesome job. I think Sherry Moon Zombie does a great job in the beginning. Everybody, Brad Dourif, Scout Taylor Compton. You also see a return of Danielle Harris, and she's not playing the same role, but you get to see like a grown up of Danielle Harris. But it is what it is. It's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. Now that brings me to number 2. This is Halloween 2. This is the unrated director's cut here. Acting's all good. Hated the storyline in this. I do not like the end. I just hated the route he decided to go with making his sister like the new him, basically. Like it threw me off. I got bored with it. But some of the kills are still really brutal and nasty. It's really hard with these 2 Rob Zombie movies because I hate and love them. So they are what they are. That's what it is. It is what it is. Just gonna leave those off. What do we got here? This is the first of the remake, like the new trilogy. Shouldn't say remake. The new trilogy here. Halloween. Off to a great start with this one. Love the atmosphere they create. I love how creepy they make it. I love the scene where he first gets his mask. I love that Jamie Lee Curtis returns and does some of her best acting in the franchise of her career, to be honest. And I like the trapping them in the basement, lighting it on fire. Like they win, but then they don't win. I liked everything about this. I think this is a solid remake. This would bounce back up into like the 4 area for me. And then I also really love Halloween Kills. I think I love that they bring back like all nostalgic characters in this. I love that it's a slasher from start to front to back. It barely lets up. It's kills and kills and more kills. And brutal, some of them. I love the ending. I actually really like when all the town is beating them you basically kill them, but then they don't. I love that. They actually make them like a supernatural being, basically. I really like Halloween Kills. This one would be a 4 again for me. And I also love that they kill, what's her name? What's that actress's name? I can never remember her name, and I've seen her in Judy Greer. I've seen her in so many things. Jamie Lee Curtis's daughter, they kill her off, and I love it because her character kind of annoyed me in these movies. So it was like, sweet. Got rid of the annoying character. And then, this one, Halloween Ends. Now, I have mixed opinions on this. To end this franchise, this new trilogy, and technically the whole entire Halloween series for that matter, I thought that as an ending, it was fucking horrible. I was bored to death for a big portion of it, just because I was going into it expecting the outcome of the last movie. And instead you get about a half hour maybe of Michael Myers and an hour and a half of fucking brand new story. And here's the thing. If this wasn't the end to this trilogy and the whole Halloween Jamie Lee Curtis storyline, if it was just like Halloween 3 and it's standalone, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's creepy. The guy they try to turn into the new Michael Myers basically is actually, he does a good job. All the acting's good. The ending's okay, although the fight I thought was a little weaker than I was hoping for. I thought it should have been more epic and gone on longer. I don't hate this movie. I just hate that it's not a standalone Halloween movie. I wish it wasn't part of the franchises. I wish this would be like this. This is next. Like Halloween Ends would have been something better, and then this was like what we got after that. That's what I wish. But it is what it is. You gotta live with it. With that said, solid freaking Halloween. Like, it's gotta be. It has to be a lot of people's one of their top horror franchises of all time, I would assume. 13 films. All of them mediocre to really good to like almost master class for a couple. Like, it's solid stuff there, really. I think that's awesome. But yeah, my ranking is Halloween 2 is my worst. Curse of Michael Myers is next for me. Halloween Ends is after that. I'd probably go with Resurrection down there. Like, I'd have to sit down and really rank these, but like, my favorites is Halloween. My top 5 would be Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, the remake of Halloween, H2O, and Halloween Kills would be like all my top ones in the franchise. But yeah, solid, must have the whole collection there, no matter how you can get your hands on them. All these 4Ks look and sound excellent. They're perfect. I almost have the whole collection on 4K. I never got the Scream Factory triple pack just because I like these Blu-rays actually look really good, especially being 3 on 1 disc like that. Like, the picture looks great. All right, now I'm gonna get to my episodic DC animated universe, and this is Catwoman Hunted on 4K here. This is done in like a Japanese like anime almost art manga, I think you'd call it. Comes with the Blu-ray and the 4K here. First off, I'll give my opening thoughts on the presentation here. The picture and sound is phenomenal on this. Like, top notch. This is a beautiful looking movie. I love the art style. Now, the storyline is okay as well. Black Mask here is your main villain, but you have like a bunch of different people that are showing up and making appearances. They bring in like it's basically like they have a name and I can't remember it. My freaking brain, after doing that Halloween franchise, my brain is like on Halloween. I can't remember the name of the like group of bad guys here, but there's a whole group of them, and they're kind of like gangster type bad guys, and she steals from them, Catwoman, and then she gets caught by Batwoman, and Batwoman offers her a deal to basically work with them to help take down all the bad guys. And then they have like unbelievably funny, awkward, uncomfortable, like lesbian moments between Catwoman and Batwoman. And it's funny though. It's done, like, you can really tell this is Japanese because it's overly emphasizing the body parts. Like, whenever, like, camera angles are just, like, on asses and on boobs all the time. Like, it's really It's done in a certain way, but that shouldn't take away from it because it's actually pretty well done. Like this to me is like a good solid 3.5. It's cool. It's different from the rest of the DC animated movies I've seen. I'll say that. It's got some decent special features on here too. But yeah, another must check out. It's really, it's like DC animation, man. They deliver. And then I'm gonna do my next comic book here. I just bought this one. I got it on Saturday, actually. I read it Saturday night. This is Batman the Three Jokers, from Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, and Brad Anderson. And love the artwork on this. Nice and dark. It's not super thick one, but it's still pretty solid. I don't know how much I'm allowed to like legally show these pictures, because I know all this stuff's copyrighted. I don't know if it gets taken down if you show too much, so I'm just going to do a couple pics. But the entire book is done like this, with the like 9 boxed per page, like just boxes. They're not all 9 obviously, but smaller boxes, which I'm usually not a huge fan of. Like I do like bigger, like even like split into 2 per page. But with that said, this artwork is done so well in here that it doesn't really matter. And I love the storyline here. Very dark. That's all I'll show for now. I'll do one more page here. It's really dark storyline. Give me one more quick peek at those Jokers. Joker, it lives off of the storyline. I don't know if people, how much I should say, in the Batman universe where Joker kills the first Robin, this breaks off of that. Like Red Hood is in this. I can't really talk much without spoiling other movies and spoilers from other comics as well. But Red Hood, Batgirl, and Batman all team up to try to solve and figure out who these 3 Jokers are. Sorry, and which one's the real Joker. And it does a real cool job with each one of them being like a different one of Joker's personalities, basically. It's really wild. It's got some really graphic, brutal shit that Joker's doing to people to turn them. But yeah, I would totally recommend picking this one up and adding it to the collection. It's not only is it really nice and the spine looks really nice on your shelf there, but it's also got a pretty solid story. I know McFarlane, Todd McFarlane's Toys have released a line of 7 to 9 inch like standable action figures that stand on plaques of the 3 Jokers from this. I think they have Red Hood and the other characters too, but I was thinking about picking them all up actually for this episode, but I spent a lot of money in the last month on physical media and comics and all kinds of stuff, and it would have cost me a pretty penny to pick up all 6 of them in the line. So I haven't, but I will probably. They're in my wish list. But yeah, definitely check out that Batman the 3 Jokers. It's got a cool story. It's from the DC Black Label, which I have a few of those, and the ones I have read so far, they're much darker. Just very brutal. And my last item for this episode, this is from Criterion. This is one of my favorite box sets in my collection, actually. This is the Bruce Lee Greatest Hits collection here from Criterion. Very nice, beautiful yellow packaging with his nice art all over it here. The box isn't like rock hard, it's your typical Criterion, but it's pretty solid. And then, yeah, you got your inside case here. It's like a giant booklet type thing that opens up. You got all your discs. One second, I'm gonna pull out the booklet it comes with. So here's all the discs. 7 discs there. And then here's the back, which I thought was really cool. Really nice there. Yeah. So I'm gonna do a quick run through of the movies included, and then I'll give my overall thoughts on everything about it. But here's like it's like an old magazine basically, and it comes with, it's just done in like classic magazine, so it's actually kind of cool, almost newspaper like. It's basically just a booklet for each movie that's included. It also comes with a poster in here somewhere that folds out into multiple pages. But yeah, really nice stuff there included. Now, our first disc here is one sec here. The Big Boss. 1971's The Big Boss. Bruce Lee's first, like, starring role where he's really big. Like, he's the main focus of the picture. It's just kind of what it says. Like, Bruce Lee arrives in this town, and there's a boss that's running everything, and Bruce Lee gets tangled up in the middle of it and has to do what he can to take down these criminals and save his family and his people. Not a ton of excellent martial arts in this one. It really feels like Bruce Lee's first starring role, but it's still really good. Like, it's still a top-notch movie. And then we move into 1972 with Fist of Fury, which is like legendary. This movie's been remade, probably not just remade, but like spin-offs, but not Bruce Lee, other people, like fucking dozens of times. It's absolutely nuts. And this one ups everything. Some of the action scenes in this are, especially in the third act, are so freaking good. Like, at one point, Bruce Lee kicks a guy, and he goes flying through a barn, and it's like literally looks like one of those old McDonald like Playland things where you have to shape your body into. It's like the perfect shape of the guy going through the barn. There's it has a crazy ending. I'm not gonna ruin the ending, but it's kind of out of nowhere, and you're not expecting it. I've seen this before, so I was expecting it, but this is my first viewing of this version of the movie from Criterion, and it's just all around a solid martial arts movie. This one probably boosted Bruce Lee to big levels, and like I said, a lot of movies have duplicated it. And then the third disc here has The Way of the Dragon, also from 1972. This one is a bit boring in the first half, and then gets really good in the second half. They hire Chuck Norris, making his Bruce Lee movie debut, basically. Chuck Norris is hired by the criminals in this to take down Bruce Lee, and this one has a lot of funny moments in it where he's in disguises and he's like sneaking into the boss's lairs and shit, and he's in full disguise. Like, a lot of cool stuff like that. But there's a showdown fight between him and Chuck Norris in the final act, and like, this is built up so perfectly. Like, they're both slowly taking their clothes off when they run into each other in the Coliseum, and they're like stretching. They're doing pre-fight stretches and warm-ups, and it all builds up this fight really good. And the fight delivers. It's pretty solid. It's not like the greatest martial arts I've ever seen or nothing, but it's good. And Bruce Lee's voice, like his hayas and his famous like, ooh, like, you know, Bruce Lee stuff, that really comes into effect in this movie. It's like where he almost perfects it in some ways. And then on disc 4 is Bruce Lee's best movie, in my opinion, his masterpiece, and that's Enter the Dragon. This movie brings in John Saxon. He plays. He's in tons of movies, but probably his most famous role, which is kind of sad to say because he's not a star in it, but his most famous role is probably the dad in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. He's, yeah, that's probably his famous role. And then it also brings in NBA star, how am I blanking on these people? Like, oh man, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Sorry, my brain fart there. It brings him in, and it invites a bunch of people to this island that's owned by a criminal gangster type guy that can't be touched by governments, and he just owns this castle, and it's basically just hookers and prostitutes, and it's a martial arts tournament. And so all these characters are going to be fighting each other, and there's some twists and turns, some corruption, some times where the bad guy's trying to buy people off. Bruce Lee's just not having it because he's there on his own personal mission to take this guy down. And the martial arts in this are just epic. Extremely well done. Facial expressions on Bruce Lee sometimes. Like when he kills a guy in one point in one of the tournaments, he like jumps up in the air and comes down with both of his feet, and like it closes up on his face as he breaks the guy's neck with his feet, and it's just epic shit on his face. And what else can I say? Anybody that's seen any iconic Bruce Lee pictures where he's got like the scratch marks down him, almost looks like he got in a fight with Freddy Krueger. That's all in this movie. That's where the main bad guy has a giant like Freddy Krueger claw hand thing that slices the shit out of him in the final battle. But yeah, Enter the Dragon. The fucking music's awesome. It almost feels like a exploitation movie, like black exploitation, martial arts exploitation, fucking Chinese exploitation. It feels like a mixture of just all kinds of exploitation films, but excellent. And what do we got next here? On disc 5, we got, at this point, so these are Bruce Lee's big 4 here. And then he dies, tragically. So he dies in the middle of filming this next movie, Game of Death. And this one, oh fuck. So this includes Game of Death and Game of Death 2. Both of these came out after Bruce Lee had already been dead for years at this point. They took a long time to actually release these. Now the second one doesn't have Bruce Lee in it at all. It is just a guy pretending he's Bruce Lee. It's what became what's known as the Bruceploitation era of films, where there is literally dozens of movies that are just capitalizing on Bruce Lee's name. It's like just dozens. As a matter of fact, Severn Films is releasing a Bruceploitation Volume 1 box set that I just pre-ordered about a week ago. Super excited for that. Some of these movies are freaking bonkers. But these are 2 of them. And the first one, Bruce Lee's not even in it until the final act. He's actually in the movie for like one sequence of scenes basically in the end. And the rest of the movie will throw you off so bad, like it did me. This was a first time viewing for this one. And when he first comes into the picture, it's I didn't know that this is the movie he died in yet. That I didn't find that out until I started watching some of these special features. But his first scene when he turns around and looks at the camera, it's like South Park stuck his face on another guy. So it's just a giant like square like circular head, and it looks like someone's holding it up, Bruce Lee's face, in front of this guy, in front of a different actor because he's not in it. And then it cuts to the actor, and it's a look like Bruce Lee, but it doesn't look like him, and that part throws me right off. But the storyline's actually pretty damn good in both of these, Game of Death and Game of Death 2. I honestly think these suffer a bit because of how much they're truly going with the Bruce Lee thing. Like, they really want you to believe that this is Bruce Lee. And that threw me right off. So these movies drop way down in quality. But with that said, they're both still watchable, even just for the laughs of just how silly some of these parts look. But the storyline's also decent. You'll like it. So yeah. 6 solid movies included here. And then there's 2 full discs of what Criterion calls supplements, and I call special features. But 2 full discs. And we're talking... And then every disc has special features on it as well. This thing is loaded with special features. Like, to the fucking top tier. It's insane. There's a full 2-hour documentary that chronicles his entire funeral. All the famous people that were showing up to it. Leads all the way into, like, after his life, his Brandon Lee. It shows him growing up and how he's dealing with it. It's just an insane documentary there. It comes with multiple versions of every single one of these movies. So, like, U.S. theatrical, television cuts, fucking just extended editions, like, so many cuts of all these movies. It's nuts. Comes with both English dubs and everything for all of it, or original language, which I always watch original language. But Enter the Dragon's actually in English. Enter the Dragon is done by WB, Warner Brothers. You can get that on 4K now, which I don't have because, honest to God, this looks good enough on here. I might pick up Enter the Dragon on 4K if I ever get it for like $20 or something. But it's just phenomenal shit here. Great set, man. Like, this is the ultimate. I watched this, and then, like, what started this was on my last episode, I did The Crow with Brandon Lee, his son. And then I was just got in a Bruce Lee mood, so I was just like, I'm going to do Bruce Lee, and I knocked all these off. But yeah, the special features, honestly, I could talk about them for hours. Like, what did I miss here? Like, look at that back there. It's, like, just stacked. It's like 3 paragraphs. Documentaries galore. Everything you would ever need to know about that era. And Bruce Lee himself, and just wild, man. Great collection here from Criterion. Like I said, it's not like the most beautiful set in my collection, obviously. I have a lot of big box sets, but this is one of my favorites, just because of the films that are included here. So good. Must own for any fan of martial arts here. And yeah, that's my episode. I pounded out quite a bit of them here. Frickin' got 6 movies here. I did 13 Halloweens and Catwoman Hunted. That's 20 movies in the last 2.5 days. And that doesn't include that I started working on my next box set. But I'm pretty sure in my next episode, I'm going to have my wife on, Kayla. And she basically is the one that does everything for me. She does all my, like, video. Like, my daughter takes care of my YouTube and helps me with that and does all the editing and stuff like that on that. But Kayla has been doing all my Instagram for the last 2 years and helping me write out the posts, and she does hard work on my stuff as well. But me and her are watching a bunch of movies together, and they're all going to be her picks. And so the whole episode is going to be stuff that she wanted to watch. Some good stuff in here, though. It's a quality episode. But yeah, I'm going to sit back and probably let her do a lot of talking. Let her have some fun in here, because it's all I do is blabble. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm going to sign off here. And I'll see you in a couple days with my next episode. Thank you very much.